Good afternoon everybody and welcome to the stream. I'm Robert from the El Magnifico Games channel, and today we're going to continue a playthrough of the Talos Principle 2. I always end up saying this. This game is extremely lore heavy and... ooh, a moose. This game is extremely lore heavy. The prequel game to this was also extremely lore heavy, and there is no way I can possibly cover all the details in a sensible period of time. So I'm just going to try and give you the cliff notes, the most important details. Humanity as we know it is dead. Homo sapiens, extinct. Before they died, it was a disease that was released from some permafrost that ultimately got them. Before they were wiped out, they managed to build some android bodies, but they didn't yet have the software needed to create they didn't have the knowledge of software needed to create a human level intelligence. They weren't that advanced. So they set up a supercomputer that was designed to create, or designed to develop ever more intelligent AIs using a genetic evolutionary algorithm. So it was just running a simulation, testing these AIs generation by generation, trying to get till they had something that was at a human level, and they were judging human level by being able to pass a series of tests. Once they had accomplished that, the computer, it uploaded the first successful AI to a android body. That was a few hundred years after humans had been wiped out. That android called themselves Athena. They found 12 other android bodies that were in perfect working order. There may have been more originally, I don't know. And then they took the last generation of AIs and she mixed them using the genetic algorithm and was able to generate new people that way. And she was uploading the new people to the android bodies. This group became known as the Companions, and she, who called herself Athena, the founder. They established a city called New Jerusalem. Subsequently, she set the goal to reach 1,000 individuals. And this involved them, because they had no more of the original android bodies. This meant they had to build infrastructure and get to the point where they could build android bodies from scratch. You know, they'd have had to, for example, mined various metals and refined them, etc., etc., to be able to do this. This they did, but there was a disaster along the way. They tried to found a new city, New Alexandria. Some sort of accident happened, people were killed, and then they came to the conclusion that, or many people came to the conclusion that they needed to be far more conservative. They had to be far more careful about how they their actions impacted the environment. They didn't want to repeat the same mistakes that Homo sapiens did in causing climate change and what have you, and the extinction of various species, and they certainly didn't want to risk any of their own lives again. This turned out to cause them a lot of problems. When we were created, Android 1000, I'm not sure if you can see on our chest, the city of New Jerusalem was running into significant problems because they weren't maintaining things the way they should have been. They weren't getting new resources like they should have been. However, another thing that had happened in the meantime was that this idea of reaching 1,000 people as a goal became reinterpreted as a limit. And there are certain people that have a religious reverence for Athena, and they assert that it was always her intention that they never go beyond 1,000 individuals. So we are notionally the last android to ever be built, according to this group, and they represent the group that's in power in New Jerusalem at this time. Athena had long since left. Not long after the New Alexandria disaster, she could see the way the wind was blowing that people weren't interested in developing anymore, and she just took off. That's the last anyone in New Jerusalem had heard of her and had heard from her, and she never actually gave the reason why she left, so people didn't know. She just left one day. Turns out her boyfriend Cornelius had met up with her, and they had founded a new settlement. They had built themselves a daughter, and they had started teching up massively. On our completion day, or rather on completion day, which is the day of our construction, reaching 1,000, the so-called limit, there was a celebration held in New Jerusalem. On that day, they were contacted by a giant hologram in the sky. They do not have that sort of technology, so whoever contacted them was much more technologically advanced than they were. At the time, no one knew how this was happening or who had done it, etc., etc. But ultimately, first of all, the hologram invited them to an island to explore, and an expedition force was sent, including ourselves, and we eventually explored and discovered that this is where Athena had gone. No sign of Athena. We discovered that she had had this daughter, Miranda, with Cornelius. Cornelius had long since returned to New Jerusalem, but never talked about his days building these settlements, which are now in ruin, with Athena and Miranda. We went to find him, but he was gone. We found some notes which implied he was trying to reverse engineer some of the stuff Athena had built, but we weren't really sure why. And he was trying to get to a particular location within the ruins. Again, we're not sure why. We haven't seen him since. At the very end of the last stream, we found out that Miranda had herself been involved in an accident and was dead. And we heard some messages from Athena being rather heartbroken, speaking to an equally heartbroken Cornelius. And that's the last we know. The hologram that appeared in the sky on completion day called himself Prometheus. We've met 2 more holograms since then, the Sphinx and Pandora. Pandora had apparently locked up Prometheus, chained him up a long time ago. He had broken free, but then he was chained up again, notionally. I say that, I don't completely trust that narrative, because I think some of this may be very artificial, set up for our benefit. A false narrative, but we'll see. Notionally, that's what happened, and at the very end of the last stream, we freed Prometheus. And then this area, the western area, there's a northern, eastern, southern, western and central area. The last area for us to reach is the western area, and that's where we are now. And so we're here. Our expedition leader has been lost. There was a accident, he got cut off from the group, we haven't seen him since. His name is Byron. So I think we're now all caught up. That's the story so far. And so we're here to solve puzzles and find out what happened to Athena, find out what happened to Cornelius, find out what happened to Byron. So let's get into it.
Greetings.
Do you think the goal is a myth?
It's not hard-coded into us. It may be a distraction from what really is.
What's your vision of our future?
A place where conflict and suffering don't happen, because its people have worked out how to live harmoniously.
What are your thoughts on the theory of everything?
I'm more of a classicist than a physicist, but I doubt infinite power in the physical realm will solve our conflicts in the spiritual one.
I also doubt you could achieve that. What do you make of the island?
I cannot deny that it has a certain allure. Puzzles are part of our programming, and what Athena has created here speaks to that part of ourselves. After all, what am I doing if not trying to solve a puzzle? The puzzle of human morality. Cornelius founded the Museum of the Simulation and greatly encouraged the work of the archive scholars. He and Eustathius are the bedrock of scholarship in New Jerusalem. His entanglement with all this seems absurd to me.
Let me double check that last part. Apologies, I was just replying to someone online. Cornelius founded the Museum of the Simulation and greatly encouraged the work of the archive scholars. He and Eustathius are the bedrock of scholarship in New Jerusalem. His entanglement with all this seems absurd to me. That is what he said. But we can't ask him any more questions about that. In what way is it absurd? It's surprising, but that's very different to absurd.
What can I do for you, 1K?
I wonder, is that why Cornelius was looking for a... Was he the one that was looking for moral truth through the archives? Or have I got the different characters mixed up? I'm not sure. Do you think the goal is a myth?
As a journalist, I think the line between speculation and disinformation is too thin for me to engage in guessing games.
What are your thoughts on the theory of everything?
It's a complex issue, and I think it should be left to experts.
Hang on. He does not sound like a journalist at all. That the line between speculation and misinformation is a thin one, and so I should engage in it. That we should ask that the theory of everything's a complex subject, so we should ask experts. This doesn't sound like a journalist. Tell me about yourself.
I believe that journalism serves an important function in our society, and I'm dedicated to reporting the truth with accountability and responsibility.
Does not sound like a journalist at all. What does responsibility mean in the context of your work?
It means understanding that I can't just publish things without considering their impact. Serious disruptions to the social fabric of New Jerusalem could endanger lives. That's not journalism anymore.
Right, but who gets to decide what is and is not a danger? That's all. It's interesting that a couple more people have turned up here, because they're not part of the expedition team at all. Servitor. I think this is the first time we've seen a platform that moves like this in this game. We had the robots in the previous game. Ah, is this only moving because it's being powered? Okay, that is an entirely new type of type of tool then. We've never seen anything like that before. Can't pick this up, can I? No. I didn't expect I'd be able to, but it was worth verifying. The issue now is I need to be on this side. Oh, whoops. I didn't mean to send a blue signal to that device. That wouldn't do anything. I need to be on this side with a connector in hand, which it's difficult to see how I could achieve. Let me double check. If I were to really? Am I... Alright, I'll have to take this down. I was hoping I wouldn't have to take it down just to jump over, but still. Where does this send me? Right, only over here, not the whole way. If I didn't have to be on this side, it would be easy. But I do. Can this be made to sit on the... pressure plate? I'm getting confused. How do I connect it? There we go. Oh. I had it and I mucked it up. Not quite. There we go. That's the secret. Now it should be easy. Unless I'm misunderstanding. Oh, maybe I am. I can't get the blue over there. Interesting. So this can be used to get the blue over the fence, but if I do that, it obviously can't be pushing down the pressure plate at the same time. That is interesting. In fact, I need to move this off of here eventually. Because I need nothing on the... Ah, I think I see how I do it now. Sorry, that took me a while. I was going to say, because I need that pressure plate to toggle, but I need it to toggle while I'm on this side. That's what the red's for. Job done. That was a good one. That was a very good one.
I know you're all thinking about the goal and the theory of everything. Is the past what we thought it was? Is the future what we want it to be? But the only thing that's real, at the end of the day, is the present. And right now, what matters is that our friend is lost and needs our help.
This is true. Although that didn't seem to come up as often as I'd have expected when he first disappeared, or after he first disappeared. What was I thinking? So the key here, I suppose, was realising that I could control that moving platform from unexpected places. Oh, blimey. Environmental observations. The environment has been modified to allow life to spread. Most of the life forms can be found in other parts of the island as well, but some appear to be endemic to this region. It's possible they were genetically modified to be better able to survive here. There are some particularly gorgeous dragonflies that I cannot help but think were deliberately designed to be beautiful. But maybe I'm making the same mistake our ancestors made, seeing intent where there is none. Interesting. Gravity manipulation. We've seen multiple cases of anti-gravity on this island. The potential industrial applications of this technology are staggering. So many of the challenges we face when trying to build involve gravity, moving things, lifting things, keeping things steady. One could say that a significant part of human history has been a long struggle with gravity. With anti-gravity, all these processes would become simpler and safer. A victory for humankind, as Byron would undoubtedly say. Just wow. I just had to stop and take a picture. I never cease to be amazed by the beauty of this planet. Teleportation. In some ways, teleportation is one of the less surprising things we found here, in that at least particle teleportation was known to be theoretically possible. Of course, that's still miles away from these teleporters, which operate on principles that simply contradict what we know of physics. The transfer of matter from one location to another is instantaneous, without an observable wormhole or similar effect. There is, however, a release of exotic particles in the instance of teleportation, which decay within fractions of a second. Interesting. Noma system. Pretty much all the technology in this island, from the puzzles to the megastructure, is run by a system called Noema. I've identified a number of obvious commonalities with the software we use in New Jerusalem, enough to be certain that Noema is descended from our own software, although Athena and Cornelius appear to have upgraded it quite extensively. Noema seems capable of interfacing directly with the user's mind at a deeper level than our own technology, although this functionality is not used consistently. Currently, guest users are locked out of all functions, so only 1K can access the system, though he's also locked out of any admin functionality. More Sphinx puzzle stuff. We'll be solving that at some later point. Interesting. I don't recognise the painting, but it's very beautiful. It says John Martin in the bottom. And it came to pass in the 11th year, in the first day of the month, the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, because that Tyrus hath said against Jerusalem, Aha, she is broken that was the gates of the people. She is turned unto me, I shall be replenished now she is laid waste. Therefore thus saith the Lord God, Behold, I am against thee, O Tyrus, and will cause many nations to come up against thee, as the sea causeth up waves to come up. And they shall destroy the walls of Tyrus, and break down her towers, will also scrap dust from her, and make her like the top of a rock. It shall be a place for the spreading of nets in the midst of the sea, for I have spoken it, saith the Lord God, and shall become a spoil to the nations, and her daughters, which are in the field, shall be slain by the sword, and they shall know that I am the Lord. Actually, I do remember reading that before, but I don't remember the painting. That may just be my bad memory. To this way. Incidentally, for anyone that doesn't usually watch me play Talos 2, obviously this is a very different game to the Souls-likes I play. Supportive apparatus. Quite a chill stream, as you can see. If you have any questions about the story or about how the puzzles work or anything, feel free to let me know and I will... and I'll do my best to explain. Essentially, it all comes down to we're trying to reach this, and we have to manipulate the environment to make that happen. Okay. This one looks reasonably complex. In a way, it actually reminds me even more of the puzzles in the first game, now that we actually have moving components like that. So we have a red producer here. Obviously, if I can get red here, then I've solved the puzzle. But there are going to be intermediate steps. Ideally, I'd like to get there and get a hold of the box. But I'm not sure how I get red here. Ah, I think I see the solution. Or maybe I don't. Ah! So if I send a red signal to that red receiver, it should drop the force field. And if I send a red signal to that platform, it should activate and move. And so I can set this up in such a way that by standing on this platform, things start moving, which is what we want. Now that it's outside the force field area, I can pick up this connector and just use it as a weight on here, and I can grab the box, which is what we originally wanted. This is what I mean by the puzzles are starting to remind me a lot more of the puzzles in the first game. I don't remember if there was a puzzle exactly like that, but having to take account of moving parts, that was very much a feature of the puzzles in the first game. Oh, we can't make it self-powering. That's interesting. Actually, that's not a very good way of explaining it. We can't have a connector on top of a platform that is also powering the platform, it would seem. That's not allowed. Okay, I've opened this up, which has given me access to a second connector, which is what we wanted. So I just need to figure out how we complete this now. If I had to guess, I'd say we have a connector on top of there which is going to the receiver over there. And then I just have another connector somewhere like here. Now we wait for it to connect up. I'm not sure that worked. I picked that connector up then so that it would break the connection going to the platform so it stopped moving. That hasn't worked. Okay. That is interesting. Can I just go around the side? I probably can just go around the side looking at it. Yeah, that'll be easier then. Maybe I can't actually. Maybe they've... Yeah, I think they've come up with some angles that make that impossible. Alright. Back to the drawing board. Alright. What about... I use the box to try and raise one of the connectors high enough. And that means I have to use one of the connectors both to transfer the signal but also to weigh down the platform. It has to perform two functions. No, that didn't work. Alright, what if I put the box on top of the moving platform and I put the connector on top of that? I think in principle that would work. I think that's bound to be high enough. But now we have a practical problem, which is how do I get on top of the box? Because now it's too high for me to jump up. And unfortunately, if I pick up the box with the connector on top, the connector falls. So that doesn't work. I'd need a higher surface that I could stand on top of to give me a boost. I'm starting to think this isn't the solution either. I don't see a way I could get on top here. But equally, I don't think I can send the signal around the side. Hypothetically, if I had that box right up against the edge, would it be able to send the signal? Unclear. Oh, we just jumped over there. That's interesting though, the fact that I can jump over like that. Because that means I don't necessarily need this force field to be down. Although if it weren't down, it's hard to see how I'd get a signal in here. Can I put a box under my feet? No. Knocks me off. Hang on. This might not work, but it's just an idea that's crossed my mind. Could I use the box in some way to help me connect things up over here? That is, go around the side. Maybe. Oh, the problem is I can't send the signal through there if I do that. Yeah, that signal's not getting there. I'm really not confident this is going to work, but it's worth a go. Hang on, that was doomed to failure. Yeah, that's not going to work. They've stumped me. Just had another thought. If I'm using this platform, I can get a signal straight to it without anything holding that pressure plate down. I think this might work. Because both connectors are elevated, yes, it gets over the fence. Oh my goodness. Unfortunately, we do appear to have reached the point in the game where the puzzles are both very good, but also starting to challenge me a bit more. Oh, a fox. What a beautiful creature. Automatic doors. I haven't figured out what I'm trying to achieve here yet, but the obvious thing to try is to move this out of there. Although that may not be what I need. We'll just have to wait and see. Right, red signal there and I've done it. How would I do that? The easiest way would be to have this in here. But how to do that itself isn't obvious. Can I walk it through using... using its own signal? Yes, I can. So far so good. What's going wrong? I'm genuinely unclear on what's going wrong here. That should work. Ah, the signal there's been cut off. I get it. Here, the signal can't make it through. It's getting caught here. I think the force field is then knocking this back. Yeah, looks like it. That's not going to work then. It was very interesting to note that in theory that sort of idea can work. I may not be able to pass a signal from something sitting on top of this platform to the platform itself, but using an intermediate tool I can still have a signal it produces power the thing that it's on. That's good to know. It would be easy to get the connector and this back in there. Oh, I just heard that one charging, so this one also has a charging duration, although I see no visual indicator of whether it's charging or not. There's no wheel like there is there that where you can see the charging happen. As I can say, if I could get the inverter in there, it'd be easy. Do I need to get the inverter in there, actually? I think I do. Let's explore this a little more. Ah, an inverter over there might be able to do it. That wouldn't. The inverter would have to be here. So here's my thinking. I get the impression that this needs to be down, this force field, so that I can pass through there. That means a blue signal has to reach there. That means the connector has to be on this side, because a blue signal's not reaching there if the connector's on this side. But if that's the case, then that means the inverter, for a red signal to be able to reach that red receiver, is going to have to be here. We know the connector can't be in here, so we can't have it. We can't have the inverter creating red on this side and then have a connector on in here passing the signal on. We know that can't be the case because, as I previously said, the connector's already spoken for. It has to keep that down. Is there any possibility it wants me to do something particularly clever? I doubt it. By particularly clever, I mean using things like crossing beams to solve puzzles. That's what the first game was. Its puzzles heavily featured. For that to be true, I think we'd have to have at least some sort of tool in here. A connector or a inverter or something, and that's not possible. All of it is pointing to the idea it should be possible to get the inverter in here. But I don't see how, because I need to get a red signal here for the force field to be down. But the only way to generate a red signal is from the inverter itself, which means the inverter has to be placed down in the world. The only way to do it will be on top of there. Just to be sure, you won't accept blue, will you? No, you won't. I didn't expect you to, but... They've done it again. They've stumped me a second time. One of my assumptions must be wrong. There's no alternative. This needs a red signal. Let me double check. It definitely is the case that this can't charge its own platform, isn't it? No, it can't charge its own platform. Not directly, indirectly it can. Which of my assumptions is wrong? There's not another source, is there? I don't think there is. Doesn't seem like it. Can't like get up here, can I? Doesn't seem like it. Doesn't seem like I'm supposed to be able to. Ah, we could maybe get a blue signal through here. That might be it. Not sure that's helping. No, I don't think it is. That never gets close enough to that fence for me to pass something over the fence. Ah! I know what it might be. First of all, let's get this platform moving again. It may not be that this stays open the whole time. It may be that it's supposed to alternate between powering one device and powering the other. Problem is, this isn't going to be able to feed it blue, is it? It is going to be able to feed it blue. Why can it feed it blue? Because the red signal coming from here is lower priority. It's lower priority because the priority of a signal is determined by how many steps it has to pass through. Each component in a chain is an additional step. This was one of the advanced rules we discovered in the first game. Right, I understand. So we can actually have this do things the way we would want them to do it. This is both capable of powering this one with blue and the other one with red. Right, we go through now, and in a moment we should be let through here. I feel like this would have been a relatively easy puzzle in the first game.
Good work. Keep going.
But I haven't been thinking in those terms for a long time. You know, in terms of like having moving parts and not having a system settle in the state that I want it in, but for its state to be ever changing.
Hey, can we talk for a second?
Of course we can.
I'm still struggling. I was really hoping we'd find Miranda alive. Her way of seeing the world was so inspiring. And the idea that I can never get to know her, that she's gone.
I'm sorry.
I guess I've never really been good at dealing with death. Maybe because it's so rare in New Jerusalem. Except for pets, and even in that case, I find it very hard to deal with. I still miss my first cat, and it's been over a century since she died.
Death is difficult to deal with. It's a good point. We've never had to deal with death before, so since we were only born like 2 days ago. Death is difficult to deal with.
When someone dies, it's this void. I know I should just let it go, but some part of me refuses. And I feel like that part, it hurts me, but it also keeps me human. And I know it would be healthier if I said, okay, Miranda is someone I never met. She's just a bunch of glitchy old files. But if I do that, as rational as it seems, it feels like I'm surrendering something. Something that matters.
I understand what he's getting at. The don't let go, use the pain as a foundation to build something. You can let go of the pain but still care about a person. You have to let go, you're still alive. You have to let go, this doesn't help anyone. Then don't let go, use the pain as a foundation to build something.
Interesting. I hadn't thought of pain as something you can use. If I can take the pain and use it to create something, or to do something, maybe that's a way of not surrendering to death. Thanks, 1K. I'm really gonna think about that.
You're welcome. You're welcome, but I wanted to ask you about something else.
Of course, go ahead.
What do you think about Mayor Hermanubis?
I think he's done his best. I don't disrespect him, but I'm not sure he's leading us down the right path. Despite everything that's gone wrong here, I'm not sure we should just reject what the megastructure has to offer.
I tend to agree. Do you ever think about your future?
On the one hand, there's so much we could do with the theory of everything. So many lives I could live. I have enough ideas for the next, 20,000 years, easily. And that's just from 5 minutes of thinking about it. On the other hand, Miranda's gone. So much hope, so much grief. I don't know how to balance that.
I know, it's hard. And now I'm going to change the topic abruptly because that's how the game works. How's Bruce?
I hear he escaped Pellegrino and peed all over Melville's workshop. So apparently, he's doing great. I miss him, though. I always feel like the fact that he likes me is a huge compliment. Lifts me up somehow.
That's his cat, incidentally. Do you think the goal is just a myth?
Honestly, I'm not sure how I couldn't see it more clearly before. It doesn't match anything Alexander Drennan believed in, and continuing Drennan's legacy was Athena's whole point.
Very good argument. Tell me something irrelevant. I thought I said irreverent for a second.
In the ancient year 1969, a band called Mellow Macaron wrote a psychedelic rock song about the Talos principle. It's called Cretan Bronze Man's Flying Mystery Adventure.
That should be Cretan, shouldn't it? Or am I mistaken? Interesting.
I don't know if it's nice, but it's definitely the most understandable song on the album. There's another one which is called The Fish People Will Teach You How to Sing, Mr. Allen, which is 20 minutes long and was recorded underwater.
Blimey. Is it any good?
I think you need psychedelics to enjoy it, really. Maybe if you stick your head inside a really large magnet.
I was gonna say, what would psychedelics do for an android? Or do you have psychedelics of any sort? Now that you've solved a puzzle, would you like to try another one?
Nope, but at least I finally understand why Athena wanted to get out of the simulation so badly.
That's all. Right, where were we? Number 4. There's question marks around here, actually. We should explore those. That's probably a double triangle puzzle. Oh, if I've been struggling with the beginner puzzles in this area, what's a double triangle puzzle gonna do? Jailbreak. I think I need to pay more attention to the names now. I need the extra hints. Not that I immediately know what they're getting at with jailbreak, but we'll have to see. Is this a jail? Maybe. That's where we're trying to get to. I notice there's a rail coming here, so I presume the goal then is to get one of those moving platforms over here and then jump up there in 2 steps. So the question is, how do I get the moving platform there? The moving platform starts here, you accept a red signal, you have a connector pre-connected to you. This is one of the connectors that you can't pick up, and as you can see, it's already connected. That's how those work. Well, this should get it through the first little bit. We'll just have to worry about the second little bit in a moment. Great. Okay. We can get blue from there. Good. It is close enough that I can connect it up. And it's at a different... I see the problem. I still need to keep that force field down to... be able to get power to it. Okay. Presumably... I power it directly now, at least for a spell. Why are you struggling? Ah. I may have trapped myself. I think I have. I don't think there's a way out of here. This must be why it's called jailbreak. I did not appreciate what was going on there. I genuinely didn't realise there was a force field there that was being kept down with this pressure plate. Yeah, I'm gonna have to reset. Oh dear. Good thing we can reset. Otherwise we'd have been there forever. Oh well. We're learning. That went well. Oh, I think it was supposed to be powered a little bit longer than that. Never mind. Right, we're back to where we were. Right, we've got it out of here, but we've lost a connector permanently. To make that happen. Oh, I think I see. That's quite clever. Oh, that's not going to work. Ah. Why are you not sending a signal? You should be. You're receiving red. Why are you not sending red? I don't know. There we go. I think that's all done. As long as you don't get yourself trapped in that little room, it's actually not too bad. Excellent. I'd say that actually went easier than the last couple of puzzles.
Tell me, Yakut, what impact do you think the megastructure will have on the future of this island?
It depends on what we do with it. Miranda used it to spread life, to make things better. We can do the same.
And yet, poor Miranda lost her own life doing so.
She just made a mistake. She couldn't wait to show everyone what they discovered. We can be more careful.
Do we know that's what happened? I'm not sure we do. Oh, looks like it's time for our first lore dump. Of this stream. Against decay. From selected archive documents, we live in a decaying system, which in turn produces ideologies of decay to justify its existence. No matter what cultural signifiers they get packaged with, these ideologies come down to the same material result, a future in which for the average person there is less of everything. To paraphrase Mark Fisher, we find it easier to imagine the decline of civilization than to imagine a civilization worth living in. Then there's more ASCII. Those of us who still believe that humanity can thrive, that there is a path forward other than the willful or accidental decay, are out of sync with the system. No matter how we phrase our arguments, they will be perceived in terms of whichever cultural signifiers the listener opposes. It's a deeply frustrating, depressing, even infuriating situation, but what can we do except to patiently explain and hope conditions change? In other words, what can we do except have faith? Athena, this was written only a few months before the discovery of the virus. There was no time for conditions to change. Goodness. Let me see if I can find that document online, so that I don't have to do the transliteration by hand. Why should the scales of good and evil be balanced? Founding 11. From Hypatia's Journals, Volume 1, The Founding of New Jerusalem. Day 882. It's been a while since I last wrote an entry in my journal. Much has changed in New Jerusalem. We've put up a good chunk of the planned living quarters, and the old storage facility has been converted into a movie theatre of all things. So we still argue a lot, but now it's mostly about which film we'll be watching next. Other construction efforts are going well too, although we've begun to run out of readily accessible resources. Our scavenging expeditions are ranging further and further afield with each passing month, and the sites that they have reported on sound truly marvellous. One day I might go see for myself. It's a good thing in that regard that we're getting 2 new citizens soon, because everyone is as busy as ever. More hands to help us build our future. I can't wait to meet them. This one is Hypatia's Journal. Founding 11. All life is sacred, and each life is unique. Another Trevor audio log.
How is this supposed to work? The system is meant to last centuries. Centuries! And yeah, Chernyshevsky's plan, brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. But I'm working with hardware that was deliberately designed to fail. Planned obsolescence, baby. Selling broken garbage just to make another buck. A buck you can't even spend because in a few more weeks, we'll be extinct. Was it worth it? That's the part that Alexandra doesn't see. The greed, the stupidity, the selfishness, the way that we created this whole situation in the first place. She wants you to be like us, but if you ask me, there's a whole lot of human history and behavior you can just throw away, chuck it in the trash, right? You have a chance at a fresh start. Make the best of it.
Some very good points there. Ah, Literacy 10. Another audio log.
The reason I have always admired Alexandra Drennan is that even in death, she fought to see the world as it is, not as she wanted to see it. I say fought because I believe this is not an easy matter. It is a mental and spiritual struggle that we must undertake with great seriousness, even when we are joking. The ancients believed that for most of us, the world is a shadow cast by a flame, dimly seen on the wall of a cave. Our task is not to interpret these shapes, but to free ourselves from the cave itself.
Isn't that Plato's cave or something? Plato's allegory of the cave is an allegory presented by the Greek philosopher Plato in his work Republic to compare the effect of education and lack of it on our nature. It's written as a dialogue between Plato's brother Glaucon and his mentor Socrates and is narrated by the latter. The allegory is presented after the analogy of the sun and the analogy of the divided line. In the allegory, Plato describes people who have spent their entire lives chained by the necks and ankles in front of an inner wall with a view of the outer wall of the cave. They observe the shadows projected on the outer wall by objects carried behind the inner wall by people who are invisible to the chained prisoners, and who walk along the inner wall with a fire behind them, creating shadows on the inner wall in front of the prisoners. The sign bearers pronounce the names of the objects, the sounds of which are reflected near the shadows, and are understood by the prisoners as if they were coming from the shadows themselves. Only the shadows and sounds of the prisoners' reality, which are not accurate representations of the real world. The shadows represent distorted and blurred copies of reality we can perceive through our senses, while the objects under the sun represent the true forms of the objects that we can only perceive through reason. 3 higher levels exist: natural science, deductive mathematics, geometry and logic, and the theory of forms. Socrates explains how the philosopher is like a prisoner freed from the cave and comes to understand that the shadows on the wall are not the direct source of the images seen. A philosopher aims to understand and perceive the higher levels of reality. However, the other inmates of the cave do not even desire to leave their prison, for they know no better life. Socrates remarked that this allegory can be paired with previous writings, namely the analogy of the sun and the analogy of the divided line. So there you go. I thought I recognised that. Oh, is that Alcatraz?
Everything all right?
Do you think the goal is a myth?
It's possible. I won't trust Prometheus until he actually leads us to Byron, but yeah, seems likely. But even if it is a myth, that doesn't mean we can just abandon it. Myths can contain elements of truth, and I think this one exists for a reason. Maybe we had to create this imaginary founder because the real one lost her way.
Interesting, if a bit controversial. Are you sure the founder lost her way?
It's the only way I can explain what she's built here. She got wrapped up in her ideas and lost all sense of perspective.
What are your thoughts on the theory of everything?
People have thought they understood everything before. Obviously, Athena has unlocked tremendous powers, but Forgive me if I'm skeptical that her theory really encompasses everything.
You're right, there are limits to our ability to know, but what if it does?
Then I don't think it's something we need to know. We're not going to find
Okay.
happiness or meaning in some equation, 1K.
No, but we could significantly improve people's quality of life and solve a lot of practical problems while we're at it. What do you make of Crier?
Byron couldn't stand him. Have you ever tried asking the mayor a difficult question, he used to say? But I think he does an all right job, to be honest.
Do you ever deal with the mayor's advisors?
I try to stay out of their circuits, and they try to stay out of mine. Helga is an old friend, but the others, they're not my crowd.
By circuits, you mean circles? How do you feel about Mayor Hermanubis?
He's smarter than people give him credit for. There's more to some folks than meets the eye, you know.
That's all. Find your sprite. Find my sprite and follow it until it leads you back to me. Well, if we do find it, that'll be jolly good fun. Makes me want to look behind things. Since this is where sprites often like to hide. Speaking from experience. Surfing. So I'm supposed to be on top of it, presumably, or something is. Perhaps not me. A fan with the blades removed. Interesting. There's the blades. There's the end. So we're trying to get a blue signal there. We have a red producer there, so presumably, do we have an inverter somewhere? Oh, we have a blue producer there. Okay. Okay, so I can't power that yet. I wonder what the fan's used for. Probably for raising the platform even higher. But that would only work very briefly. Well, we have a box now, which is nice. What does this do? Unclear. Oh well, I'll leave this resting on the platform for a while, I guess. The pressure plate, I meant, sorry. Oh dear. Out of luck there. I think this has been designed in such a way that there is no direct angle. That does raise questions though. If there's no angle that lets me get... Oh, the box will be the solution. Probably. Maybe. Yes, it is. Right, so that gives me another connector, and it gives me the fan blades. Still somewhat unclear on what I need these for. Alright, let's try connecting this up. Right, that's the end of your path then. That's the end of your rail. Interesting. So you stay up there. That wasn't obvious to me that you'd stay up there. That's probably for connecting up blue then. Oh, am I not allowed to slip the blades back in? I'm not. Not while the platform's over it. Oh, that changes things significantly. Oh, actually, maybe not that significantly. Now I've recalled that we have 2 connectors now. So I can have that permanently stationed up there. And I can use the other one to power the moving platform. Which is going to make putting the blades back pretty easy. Right, has that done it? Not quite. But... it doesn't matter. We can still get power everywhere we need it to be anyway. Oh. Or can we? Right, so that force field is an anding of the pressure plate and the blue receiver. I did not realise that. That's interesting. I find it very hard to believe that to do the final stage of this puzzle, I'm not supposed to have this in the air. That moving platform in the air and a connector on top of it. That seems correct. But how do I do this bit then? Oh, I see how, I think. Yeah, I have an angle on there from there. Like so? No. But you get the idea. I can just use the box as the weight then. Done. Solved. That was a lot easier than the last... Well, the last one was the double triangle one, wasn't it? That wasn't too bad, but that was a lot easier than I think 2 and 3 were. Is that a lab? We found a lab. Jolly good. Green light, interesting. Wonder why they bothered to manufacture a green light. And a green light in particular and put it in that room. Seems a bit arbitrary. I don't know why they wouldn't have just gone with a white light. Or something close to white. Since that provides the most information. That's a good point. Their eyes work like our eyes work. They seem to be able to see red, green and blue. I'm surprised they didn't improve upon them. Wow, lots to do in this one. Let's get started. Chervanesky 021. From Arkady Chervanesky in our likeness. Essays on human guide reaching adulthood. War is the crudest, most obscene human activity. It may justly be called an abomination, for it is the absolute negation of conscious human will. There is only a single cause of war, for all the endless deceptions that are foisted upon us, and that is the acquisition of resources. Varied ideologies are constructed to justify this crude behaviour, this childish degeneration of thought and communication, but history reveals the ruthless, unflattering truth. We imagine crusaders as fanatics of a cause, willing to die for their religion, yet the Fourth Crusade culminated not in the conquest of Jerusalem, but in the looting of Constantinople, setting the stage for the triumph of the very enemy the Crusaders claimed to oppose. Why? The answer, as with every war, is the same. It is popular amongst the ghouls of the establishment and their misanthropic friends in the intelligentsia to ascribe the persistence of war to human nature, but a careful observation of the facts reveals the opposite to be true. Individual human beings must be broken in order to submit to war. Must be broken in order to submit to war, not broken in. Their minds distorted by ideology and their bodies by poverty and ruthless training to make them compliant. Without force, the majority of human beings only seek to protect themselves and are traumatized by the act of killing. But if it is resources that are the core cause of war, then it is only in the production and distribution of resources that an answer may be found. It is not enough to morally condemn war. We must work to prevent the material issues that endanger us all. These arguments strike me as a bit too simple, a bit too narrow in focus. I think he makes some very good points. And I think a lot of the overall themes here are probably true, but like the suggestion would therefore be that if we were in a post-scarcity society, war wouldn't happen. I'm not convinced that's the case at all, frankly. In fact, I find that really rather unconvincing. I do take his point about most humans only being concerned about their own preservation and that they find the act of killing traumatic. I think there is a lot of truth to that. But then it's curious how war on various scales has been ubiquitous through human history. You know, starting even with just one little tribe warring with another little tribe. But then I suppose, you then may end up in definitional issues about what is war and so on. I know that some cultures, for example, have ended up having war evolve into more ritualistic behaviour, and what had been the outright slaughterings of people has turned into fairly dangerous games. Where the goal is to be able to settle a dispute and determine a winner, and often they are using dangerous weapons, but it's not. They make an effort for the conflict not to be to the death. That, as I say, there are examples of that in the cultures of the world. So, for example, I mean, this is just one example. That comes to my mind, that just comes off the top of my head. So it may not necessarily be completely representative, but I understand in some parts of Africa it became traditional to settle serious disputes by holding a stick fighting competition. Now, don't underestimate how deadly a stick can be. I mean, essentially, it's like a. When I say stick, this would be something that's not a million miles away from a European quarterstaff, which, you know, was a serious weapon that could kill. But the point is, you would go from, at one point, people presumably having been genuinely out to take the lives of the other tribe members to right, we're going to meet at this spot, and rather than holding a pitched battle, we're going to have a series of stick fights. And yeah, some people might die, but most won't. Most will get away with just some moderate injuries and otherwise be able to go on and live the rest of their life relatively free of harm, or relatively free of long-term consequences, I suppose is what I'm getting at. So the overall point I'm circling around here is that while it's true that I think war does seem to it seems to be ubiquitous in human history, you do, in a broader sense, it's a form of dispute resolution, and there certainly do seem to be, on one hand you have to say, isn't it odd that if humans really are so resistant to killing their neighbours, then killing another human being, then why is it that war keeps cropping up? But on the other hand, you have to say, yeah, but not all wars have necessarily been as savage as the wars we engage in today. Some certainly have been, without a doubt. It's an interesting one. I don't really have any great insight to add. I don't really have an explanation for any of this or anything. Just thoughts that go through my head after having read that article. From Guta to Athena. Dear Founder, I'm afraid that we're losing our humanity. We're angry at each other, always disagreeing about everything. Unable to forgive each other for being different. I don't know how much longer, and I don't know what could save us. Please help us, Founder, please. Guta 972. So this would have been quite late on if this was 972, because 972 would have been one of the last androids to be built. I think we estimated previously that they were building about 2 androids a year. We're android 1000, so presumably that was sent approximately 14 years ago. Or, it could have been sent last week. It can't have been older than about 14 years. Hold on, I'm just looking for the transliterated text. Nor shall my sword sleep in my hand. Which the wiki page I'm looking at tells me is another quote from William Blake. Milton, a poem. That's presumably a poem about the author. Was it John Milton? Wrote Paradise Lost among other works. Yes. I would assume that's what William Blake's poem was about. Noem and notes. Resuming trials with new protocols, energy output. Contains no errors. Advanced synthesis. Loads and loads of ASCII to transliterate. This is why I'm looking it up, rather than doing it by hand. Be ye steadfast, unmovable, always abounding in the work of the Lord, for saith as ye know that your labour is not in vain. For as much as ye know that your labour is not in vain. Turn away, creature of clay, these secrets can only bring suffering. Do not listen to her, son of man. Your ancestors gave their lives so you might be free. You have the freedom to wield the flame wisely. The first one is apparently the Bible, 1 Corinthians 15, 58. What was that? Let me read it again. What was it? Be ye steadfast and immovable, always abounding in the work of the Lord, for as much as ye know that your labour is not in vain. Okie dokie. From Byron to Athena. I just wish I knew why you didn't tell me. Message to Drennan. Oh, more ASCII. Yeah, there's going to be more of that later on. Who do you think you are, playing God like that? When Mother Nature has finally found a way of getting rid of us, you come up with this harebrained scheme to keep our destruction of the planet going. Just try for 1 second to think about something other than your own arrogance and hubris, Alexandra. Try to imagine what you're really doing here. Without your robotic perversions, the future looks beautiful. No more humans murdering everything in their path. The skies clear up, the stars become visible again. The rivers stop being filthy, and after a few decades they're full of fish again. Dolphins and whales roam the seas like their ancestors did. The cities turn into jungles, bat nests in skyscrapers, where hedge fund managers used to ruin lives. I assure you the skyscrapers would actually fall very quickly, within just most within a few years, all within a few decades, I should think. The Earth lives on as it was meant to be, peacefully and quietly, until someday in the distant future, when it all ends, like it was also meant to. What makes you assume it was meant to end like that? Let me say that paragraph again, because I did muck it up a bit. The Earth lives on as it was meant to, peacefully and quietly, till someday in the distant future, when it all ends, like it was also meant to. Or we take your path. We continue our rampage. We place ourselves above the animals. We think we know better than Mother Nature. We violate all boundaries. We ruin all purity. Perhaps we even defy death just so we can keep spreading our filth. Then we spread to other planets to do more of the same. And in the end, what have we left but plastic and radiation? Think, Alexandra. Isn't it better for beauty to return to Earth? For us to acknowledge that intelligence was a mistake and to gracefully exit while we can? Stop this. Go spend time with your friends and loved ones before the end. Let it go. Let us all go. Let there be peace. Several problems with that. Where do I begin? For a start, Sun's gonna go red giant, life on Earth wiped out. What was the point in that? You say you like beautiful things, but you're happy for this planet to become dead. And it's the only life we know of in the universe for certain. I know there have been some tentative... There's been some tentative speculation that there may be life on other planets that we may have identified, but it's still very early days. As far as we're... certainly, this is the only complex life we know about. So, there's a very good chance that... with the sun going red giant, that would be the end of all life in the universe. Maybe not, but good chance it is. Or the end of all complex life. Spreading to other planets would allow us to preserve life for much longer. You say, why can't you just let things... What was it? It was about beauty. What exactly did they say? Isn't it better for beauty to return to Earth? Beauty is just something we perceive. It's in our head. It's not objective. It's a subjectivity. Without us, there is no beauty, because there is no observer. I mean, it doesn't rule out the possibility that other animals might have some sense of beauty, but even if they did, it doesn't follow that the best course of action for the planet, and for the universe in fact, is to maximise what a wolf considers to be beautiful, and even then we're not maximising it. We're just maybe letting it increase. And finally, the universe itself is ambivalent to all this. The universe doesn't care whether there's life or not. The universe isn't going to be happier if we're gone, or if we persist. So, why wouldn't we try to preserve our civilization? Just looking for the transliteration of all this ASCII. Yet nature is made better by no mean, but nature makes that mean. So over that art, which you say adds to nature, is an art that nature makes. William Shakespeare, The Winter's Tale. I don't actually understand the English in that. Yet nature is made better by no mean. I wonder what it means by mean. But nature makes that mean. So, over that art, which you say adds to nature, is an art that nature makes. I may be misreading it. I think it may be intended to say something along the lines, yet nature is made better by no means, but that but those means that it makes itself. But I could be wrong. I don't understand how someone could hate humanity so much. This person must have been full of sadness and frustration to write something so ugly. Athena, I've tried to understand it as well, but I still don't. Straton on Socrates, from the complete works of Straton of Stagira. In killing a philosopher asking questions they did not like, the Athenians committed themselves to a tragedy with an ironic ending. Some will say that his true crime was his friendship with Alcibiades, the shameless deceiver of idiots and buffoons, and the insipid brute Critias, and that he was executed as an enemy of democracy. That he was the latter can hardly be denied, for Socrates asked not too many questions but too few, or he would not have survived the rule of the 30 tyrants. Yet, in the end he got what he had asked for, a tyrannical decision made by would-be wise men against the spirit of freedom, which he obeyed like a knave, and the Athenians, in fulfilling his wishes, strangled the roots of democracy while seeking to preserve it. Miranda, ouch, no wonder Straton wasn't popular. Athena, people who speak the truth at all times rarely are. So I'm reading this again to try and understand it. Yeah, in the end he got what he had asked for. A tyrannical decision made by would-be wise men against the spirit of freedom, which he obeyed like a knave. Is that what he asked for? I don't understand. I doubt it. And the Athenians, in fulfilling his wishes, is that what he wished for? Strangle the roots of democracy while seeking to preserve it. That doesn't make sense to me. I understand that it's supposed to be biting criticism, but I think some nuance there is lost on me. Or perhaps not even nuance, some fundamental form. The substance of it. From Thecla 4. Thecla, to Dum-de-Dum-de-Dum, beloved founder, know that I do not believe any of the lies the expedition is spreading about you. Someone or other is right. This Prometheus illusion is just a test. We will resist temptation as you once did. We will not disappoint. Praise your name, Thecla. And the transliterated ASCII. Your only hope lies in surrender, creature of clay. Athena, history. Something or Other was first published as Athena, a novel, and retained the title for its first 3 printings, now highly sought after. After a lull in popularity, it was reprinted as Athena Reborn, a novel. This edition retained the same text but included some of the author's poetry. The next edition, however, published long after the author's death under the rather embarrassing title Athena's Truth, included severe cuts and drastic changes to the text in the interest of updating it for modern audiences. This particularly affected the last chapter, Anthropogeny, which the editors accused of scientism and human supremacy. Science wonderkind Alexandra Drennan was one of the few to come to the novel's defence, writing in a long essay that the novel's clear-eyed belief in the value of Athena's journey towards humanity had been essential to shaping her own views, encouraging her to pursue science as a vocation rather than a career, and that changing does that mean? To pursue science as a vocation rather than a career? A vocation is a job, is it not? And a career is more than a job. It's a path that you would follow, like a path of work. A job might be working in a supermarket stacking shelves. A career might be, although this wouldn't normally happen, unfortunately, because of the state of society at this point, at least in Britain. But in theory, someone could start stacking shelves at the beginning of their career and end up in a serious position of management by the end. Again, I don't think people do actually climb up from the bottom like that. But in theory, that would be a career. So I wonder what she means. And that changing the text constitutes an attack on the author's unique artistic and philosophical vision. Alex, who hurt you? LMAO, one of the editors, commented on a popular social media platform. Nadia Sarabhai of the Institute for Applied Neometics also got involved in the discussion, backing Drennan, resulting in a long but unsuccessful campaign to oust Sarabhai from her position as head researcher. In the current context of ecological catastrophe, as evidenced by the recent extinction of the orangutan, clumsy editing aside, do the critics of the novel perhaps have a point after all? Is a philosophy that places humans above nature and sees science and technology as the only valid tools the cause of all our troubles? What about other ways of knowing? What about other ways of knowing? Other ways of living? And the transliterated ASCII is in German. And they've got a translation here on the wiki. Freedom is always and exclusively freedom for the one who thinks differently. Not because of any fanatical concept of justice, but because all that is intrusive, wholesome and purifying in political freedom depends on this essential characteristic, and its effectiveness vanishes when freedom becomes a special privilege. So essentially, I think what they're saying, for justice to function, freedom has to apply equally to everyone, and in particular that is important for those that think and express views differently, because those that all fit the same mould are likely to have freedom anyway. Without it, justice doesn't function properly. Seems to be the gist of that, if I've understood correctly. Huh. Don't seem to be anything else in this lab. Just lore dumps. Which, I mean, isn't the end of the world. It's just usually we have story progression when we go to these labs. Oh well, let's keep going. If you think I've misunderstood that text, then by all means let me know what you think. Right, there's another question mark this way. Could that be the last double triangle puzzle in this area? Looks like it. Yes, it is. Sorry, that's what I was looking for. Vertical locomotion. Okay, so I'm launching this in the air. There's the fan. It did occur to me they could use anti-gravity with these platforms as well. That gets the fan working. Where am I going, though? Hold on, does this get rid of the force field? It does. It works the fan and gets rid of the force field. I wonder why they needed both. Is there another entrance into here? Oh, we never found the sprite in this area, did we? Doesn't appear to be. What? Okay. It's a terminal, but it looks like a terminal in the first game, but it's holographic. And it's just there. I would guess the end is up there then, which would mean I would have to be on top of the platform. Where's the producer? Oh, there's the producer. Okay. I mean, I'm sure there must be more to it than just this. There is more to it than just this. Interesting, though. So we have a teleporter. This is going to require some thought. There's more track here. I need to teleport with the movable platform with me. Oh, I pushed it up above me. Alright. Sorry, I'm still trying to figure this out. This one's confusing me a bit. I guess I'm going to have to grab the connector and teleport up there, which is fine. Do I then power this now and it moves? Is that the general idea? It would seem so. Okay. Well, that's progress. So presumably I need to weigh both of these down? I can't grab that fan part, so presumably I need to use the teleporter to make that happen. That should be easy. Yes, it is. Huh. That was a very unusual puzzle. It's certainly...
Excuse me.
Oh.
I was looking at your research log, and I was rather perplexed by the latest upload.
Oh, Melville strikes again.
Is that your foot, Melville?
Yes. Do you want to see it up close? Although you won't be able to fully enjoy it as you don't have a rear camera.
Sorry, Mayor. Melville just has a unique way of taking pictures.
Next time you're getting an upgrade, you coot. I'm installing a mute button.
Goodness. What was I thinking? Yes. That puzzle certainly, there was stuff going on there that I really wasn't expecting. I like, in particular, the idea of having a moving platform which then changes track partway through. But overall, it wasn't actually that hard. It was just unexpected. I recognise that many citizens feel the need to discuss the visions experienced by 1K, which suggest that perhaps certain aspects of what we have hitherto believed about the founder and the girl may be inaccurate. However, given the controversy surrounding the subject, I'll ask everyone to be particularly careful in how they express themselves. That was Jeremy. Aurinia, I think we have final and irrevocable proof that we've strayed from Athena's original vision. Damien, I agree, but I'd like to submit that even if that weren't the case, deliberately engineering an energy-poor future would still be a disastrous and misanthropic idea. Ovis, how do we know any of this is real? Athena's voice is just Alexandra Drennan's. I could switch to the same voice pack right now and record myself telling you that the goal is the truth. Oh, I didn't know Athena's voice was Alexandra Drennan's. I probably could have picked up on that because we've heard both of them talk, but I didn't. Belmarsh, Ovis makes... Why did she choose Drennan's voice? That is actually an interesting choice. Almost as if she actually did... Because Alexandra Drennan was such an important figure in their culture, it is almost as if Athena, at least at some stage, was buying into this mythologizing of herself by choosing such a by choosing a voice that would cause her to be linked to what is a figure of such great import to their culture. Like, she's clearly trying to make an association between her and this very important figure in their culture. Which is very interesting because that is contrary to what we have seen of Athena's expressed views up till now. Then again, she even chose to name herself after a god. I mean, it hasn't gone unnoticed by me that there's this whole other book, supposedly. What do they call it? Athena. First it was Athena, then Athena Reborn, then Athena's Truth or something. So it could be argued that that's what she was actually naming herself after, but still, she chose probably the most important figure in the history of this android civilization, took her voice for her own, and I think, you know, it's not unfair to say, directly or indirectly named herself after a god, and yet later on, she seems to be complaining that they've turned her into some sort of mythological figure herself, as opposed to actually knowing the real her. Belmarsh, Ovis makes a good point. Objective truth is not a concept that can be applied to the world we live in. Damien, fine, then we can just collectively decide to believe in something else, right? Doesn't even have to be Athena. Let's just believe in Byron's ideas instead. Belmarsh, Byron's ideas are a theological fantasy. Damien, but if it's all arbitrary, what does that matter? Stolo, I just don't buy this whole goal thing anymore. Byron was right. Budahas, does it matter what Athena believes? Honest question. Let's say the founder is a myth that was constructed around her. In that scenario, what do we owe Athena at the end of the day? My choices are gratitude, loyalty, nothing except what we also owe each other. We should at least take her ideas seriously, or an apology. Even though despite everything I've just said, I think we have to assume that she acted in good faith unless there is compelling evidence otherwise. What I feel I have stumbled across is a inconsistency, but that doesn't amount to strong evidence of bad faith on its own. So I don't think there's anything wrong with the apology response. An apology. Not an answer I expected, but you may be right. Maybe it's as simple as that. Or, none of this matters because it's actually aliens. And then the thread was closed. Alright, what are the new research points? If what Prometheus revealed about the theory of everything is true, then it explains a lot of the patterns I've been finding. Almost every artificial structure on this island was printed into existence in some kind of energy-to-matter process, or maybe by different versions of that process, some earlier and less effective. And I can only assume that the measured structure itself was created by bootstrapping, having one machine make a bigger one, which probably means you could create a relatively small device that turns itself into a complete megastructure, or you could make a machine that just deploys more and more of itself and build something. A city in a box. Depends on the power source, I guess. A city in the box. I wonder if we're supposed to draw a link to Pandora's box there. Of course, that was where all the evils of the world were stored, but still. On sincerity, I managed to extract the following text string. I'm always struck by the degree to which our ancestors in the years before the end struggled with sincerity. They became poisoned with irony, unable to pass any information through anything except a thick layer of alienation. They left so little space for any kind of intellectual authenticity that they seemed to exist in a state of permanent agony. Ironically, that in turn made them extremely susceptible to the few sanctionable forms of sincerity which acted as a means of social control. That's interesting. I'm not sure I think I lost them on the last sentence. What's an example? What do you mean by extremely susceptible to the few sanctioned forms of sincerity? I don't understand that bit. Then there's a gap followed by, there's something equally damaged in our own estrangement from our humanity. We make the forms and behaviours of our human ancestors. Ah, human ancestors, which implies you're not human, despite the fact that up till now, you've been consistently calling yourself humans. But we don't act like proud inheritors of the human condition. Everything we do gets filtered through this perpetual awareness of their shortcomings, to the degree that we act as if our existence was their failures. Or for unknown, whoever it is, I understand what they mean, but disagree with their conclusion. This perpetual awareness isn't a form of alienation. It's a way of learning from the mistakes of our species, unpleasant but necessary. These things must be connected to the Noema system. Maybe I should dig one up, see how it works. One of the signs, yes. That makes sense. I'm slightly surprised that that hasn't been attempted yet. Right, on to the next puzzle, I guess. I'm surprised they didn't do that in the very first area they reached. Sorry, it just occurred to me there might be a sprite around here. So I thought it made sense to run round this structure. Oh, hello, that looks like a hologram. Which means there's going to be some sort of audio log here. Is that Cornelius and Athena?
Father.
No.
What is my purpose? Do I have a purpose? Mother says purpose is something we choose. But I feel like there's something there. Something that's been there from the moment I was born. Maybe even before.
Well, there are many ways of looking at this, and everyone's experience is different, so you'll have to make up your own mind. But I have a little theory, if you'd like to humor your old man.
Of course. What is it?
The universe is eternal, but it's always lost in a deep, dreamless sleep. You are a tiny little bit of the universe that's suddenly woken up, and you've realized that being awake is better than being asleep. And that gives you a purpose.
And what's my purpose?
To be, Miranda. Just to be.
Interesting. I think it's in a deep, dreamless sleep is just a poetic way of saying it's inanimate. It has no consciousness. Well, I suppose actually that's a different statement. There are things that are animate but not conscious. It has no consciousness, is what he's getting at there. But that is interesting what he says about just having become self-aware gives you a purpose, but then to say that that purpose is to be? Why? Why come to that conclusion? That implies that things that are unconscious have no purpose to be. Does it matter if the creature, and also you place this high emphasis on being conscious. I'm not saying you're wrong to do that, but it does raise interesting questions. What about unconscious people? Do they no longer have a purpose for the duration of their unconsciousness? I suppose they couldn't fulfill any purpose deliberately at that point, because by definition, if they're unconscious, they're not able to act deliberately. I'm not entirely convinced. There's some interesting ideas there to think about, but I'm not sure the argument was made sufficiently rigorously to be convincing. Ah, that's where we're going. Interesting. Presumably we have to go round somehow? Round here? Looks like it. Okay, we have another connector. Oh, I can go through here already. I can go through here. Okay. A fan, which will take us over here. Presumably getting to that fan then is the goal. Yes, so getting a signal here so we can get to the fan and then be blown to the end. The developers have actually done something somewhat clever here. If we look in here, we can see the end, and we can see that metal thing, I think it's metal, on the ground. We see the same, probably metal thing, on the ground here. That tells us that this is the same area. Right, so getting a red signal here is what we're ultimately trying to achieve. That makes sense. We do have a red signal here. That's our only red producer, so all our red must be coming through here. There's no alternative to that. Where do I want this and why? In fact, I can't get a connector here, can I? You've stopped. Did you see that? I dropped the force field and the fan stopped. That's the puzzle. But all that means is I don't want this on continuously. I want it to turn on and off. That's actually very easy to achieve. I just need to get the movable platform moving. And then I make sure the... Ah! I was going to say, I make sure the connector's on top, but that's not going to work because that moves too quickly. It never has time to charge this the whole way. That is going to be difficult. I think that might be the solution. I think I have to get in the way at the right moment. Let me see when it makes contact. First makes contact. Now. Right, so I need it to stop about there. Okay, how long does it take to stop this? 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi. Right, so it needs to be about 1 second before it reaches there. Now. Oh, I wasn't blocking it. Sorry. So what I'm doing is I'm relying on the fact that this thing itself has to charge up before it starts moving. So if I cause this to stop while the circuit's complete, the... Oh, just off. You can probably see what I'm trying to do though. I need that receiver to fully charge. And if I can cause the platform to stop at the right moment, that will happen. There we go. That should do it. So that's fully charged. Now I need to make a dash for it. I need to get through that force field before it comes back up. I'm wondering if they've measured the distances exactly to make this impossible. I'm starting to think that may be the case. The thing is, there's a fine difference between something being impossible and something being just barely doable. No. Maybe I have this backwards. Maybe I need this to break it. I can use the other beam to break the circuit. I need the platform to have moved. There. Go. Through. And it's broken it. And we're over. Oh, goodness me. So in case it wasn't clear, when two beams intersect like that, they'll interfere and it'll break both circuits. The beam will be broken at the intersection point. So I was relying on the fact that as this platform moved, the beam that was going to it would get longer and longer until eventually it crossed the beam we'd created there, and then they would both shut off. Which is what we wanted, because we needed the beam to exist long enough to cause the receiver to fully charge to bring the force field down, but once we'd crossed the force field, we then needed it to we then needed the beam that circuit to be broken so that the fan would start working again, because the way it was set up over there was such that the fan and the force field were mutually exclusive. If the fan's down, sorry, if the force field's down, if the force field's down, the fan's off. Elements. Blue producer, red producer. Oh, a blue platform. We've not seen one of those before. I mean, it's just a variation on the same old idea, but still, that's a new one. I wonder why we have both. Why would we need both? Where are we headed? In here, that's the end. We need to get a blue beam there. That is the ultimate objective of this puzzle. What is this toggle? A fan. A fan! Okay. I think I get the idea. I could be wrong. I'm guessing that these movable platforms will move in a straight line unless they hit something, and then they'll change their course. Am I right? No. I'm wrong. I want to still watch where this is going to go, though. So when it comes back, is it going left or right? I'm guessing right. Indeed. Okay, that was good to know. And for reference, where do you go? Oh, goodness. Hey, Olivia, it's lovely to see you. Is Mashufa here, or was that a subscription? I don't know how recurring subscriptions work. Did they give you that? Did they gift you that subscription a long time ago? Very kind of them, in any case. Hey, Olivia. I don't think Mashufa is here. Still, it was very kind of them to give you that gift sub. Lovely to see you. How are you? Right, so both platforms follow the right angle and end up over here. Presumably, then I want to do something like this. I'm more than a little confused. I don't see what the problem is here. Like, why do I need a red producer and a red platform here? There must be a reason, I'm just not seeing it. Ah, that can't make it over. Well, that is interesting. I think I understand now what I need to do. I don't know if it carried over either, but Twitch said it did so. Extra thanks to them. It was very kind of them. How are you? It's lovely to see you. Right, is this going to get the connector out? No! Okay, I didn't know that. The platform can get out, but the connector can't. Huh. I don't currently see what the solution would be. Oh. Maybe I do. Hold on. I might be wrong about this. But I have an idea. Oh, my lunch break. How's the game? It's going well? Puzzles are getting harder? Oh, that's unfortunate. Hold on, let me get this out of the way. Good, it just turned around. I didn't know for certain that's what it would do, but that's what I hoped it would do. Good. My thought is, what if I send the red platform over as well? Oops. If it ends up on the same fan underneath that, won't it just push it higher? Oh, that's where the sprite is. I think that's a sprite. We'll need to see how we get there. And that's done it! Huzzah! That's another puzzle solved. Good, you need the brain tease.
A remarkable gift for designing these trials. But then she did have to overcome Elohim, whose very purpose was to design trials.
Why am I not allowed to jump up here? Up here, up here. Up we go. Right, I think this is all set up correctly. I think we'll be launched into the sprite in just a second. In case you've not seen one of these sprites before, it's another type of puzzle in this game. Essentially, we just have to chase it around. The hard part is locating it and working out how to get to it. Once you know that, it's just a matter of chasing it around the map. Here we go. And it's going to go to a particular type of shrine. Where are you going? No worries, Olivia. Oh, where'd it go? Oh, you want me to get up there? Interesting. I don't actually know how I do that. Over here, probably. This looks promising. Yep. I didn't even know we could get on these rails, and it doesn't seem very safe, because if someone uses the vehicle that moves along these rails, we're going to get hit. Taking a very windy path, isn't it? Oh, that's where it's going. I think we've done it. Oh, and there's another hologram over there. We'll have to look at that in a second. And we've done it! Huzzah! And there's our golden star to reward us. Right, what's
Utopia is impossible, but the future that is possible will seem like a dream to those who are alive now.
interesting? Very prophetic. Prophetic.
You know, when I decided that we should call ourselves human, I did that because it seemed like a powerful symbol of our continuity. But the truth is, and I'm ashamed to admit this, I thought we were better than them. I thought we understood the value of civilization, and we wouldn't repeat the same mistakes. But the simulation worked too well.
We're not just like them. We are them.
We really are.
But that doesn't have to be a bad thing, Athena. We may have the same flaws, but we also have all the potential they did. Everything that Alexandra Drennan saw in them is also in us.
I hope you're right. I really do.
Good point about reciprocity there. Oh, Hermanubis.
What can I do for you, 1K?
Could the theory of everything be used safely?
Let's assume for a moment that we could use it safely, which I doubt. Does that mean that we should? Is it right for us to dominate the world? We value our own freedom.
We don't have to dominate.
We also value the freedom of all the living things with which we share this planet.
We can use it for good without dominating. About the founder.
Not now. Let's have this conversation at another time. You still have a lot to do. Better get to it.
Okay. That's the first time someone's done that. Actually, can I just engage you in another conversation immediately?
What can I do for you, 1K?
Who's running the city while you're gone?
My chief aide, Jeremy, is in charge for now. It's good practice for him. in case he decides to run for office one day.
Tell me about Cornelius.
Cornelius is responsible for many innovations. He helped create the designs for the upgraded body you inhabit, although the founder chose to remain in her original configuration. But in recent years, he had settled into a life of quiet scholarship. Or so it seemed.
I have to go.
It's always a pleasure to speak to a citizen.
Interesting you wouldn't speak to me about the founder, though. That's number 6. We've done that. Number 7. Breach. Okay. Interesting. So blue receiver there, blue receiver there. Ah, that's one of those already connected connectors. That's going to a red one. I had a feeling there would be like a red and a blue. I have an accumulator. That's jolly good. Is that where I'm going? Right, so I need to get this platform over there, which means I need to get a blue signal there and a red one there. That's going to be interesting. What's going on over here? Ah, I can send it a red signal. Right, I've charged this with a red signal, which is probably going to be the easiest way to do this. Right, that didn't work. I can make this work by just blocking the signal with my body. Why did that stop working? Oh no, that is working. Do I need to get a blue signal there as well? Alright, that changes things a bit. Hang on, do I even want to do things that way? Oh, that's not even going to work. I was being silly. Hang on. Trying to figure this out. Right, that frees up this connector. Welcome back. Just trying to think through this puzzle. I think I need to get a blue signal here and a red signal here to lower this. And I need to get this movable platform through here. I think that's the puzzle. It stands to reason that I'm going to have to do something like that. But then how do I get the red? That is a mystery. I'm sure you'll get it. I comprehend that if I put a weight or stand on this, because I am a weight, that gets the red over. But the problem is I'm not then over there. Ah! I wonder... Maybe... Oh, now I can't go back. That's the problem with that plan. I wonder... Is this one of those puzzles that I solve by my setting things up and then doing everything remotely, as it were? Okay, now that can't... Okay. That's not gonna work. I'm wondering if I have to like stand on here and then I can move the platform over. But I'm not in this area when that happens, but at some point I'm gonna have to get through here. Can't help but think I'm going backwards now. Let's charge with this red again. Charge with red. Do you have any other weights? Right. The weights I have are the accumulator itself, the connector, and my own body. Technically the platform as well, but the platform's on rails. That is a rail, so it can never leave that track. So I could never get the platform over here, even though I think it would technically be a weight. In fact, I know it would be a weight because we have encountered puzzles that use that. So here's what I'm thinking. If I need to get a blue signal here, given that I can't change where that connector is connected to, I need a connector in this room, or I suppose maybe over here, to get a blue signal there. I don't see a way around that. But the blue connector is currently being used to send the the blue signal up to there. That's how we're getting blue to everywhere else right now. Which I think is actually just here, thinking about it. I could charge the connector with blue, sorry, the accumulator with blue, I meant to say. Maybe that is the solution. Let's try that. Right, that's blue taken care of. So that no longer needs... That connector no longer needs to be delivering blue up there. If I stand on here, I think this will get the platform moving. Yes, the platform's going through now, which is what we wanted. So that's technically progress. The problem is, what do I do now? How do I get through here, specifically? Ah, I don't need this connector anymore. Because I've already got the platform in place. So I can use it as a weight now, it's just been freed up. That's how we do it. It required 2 different, distinct stages. Done! Another puzzle done. Oh, dearie me.
Congratulations, 1K. That was a hard one.
So to be clear, this is the goal of most of the puzzles. To get to this terminal thing and put a hand on it. I say most of the puzzles because there's things like the chasing the sprite puzzle, which of course works differently. 8. Which way is 8? Oh, there's at least 2 more question marks on the map. Shall we investigate the question marks? This is another Sphinx puzzle. I haven't done any of these yet. I intend to go back for them later, because I don't understand them yet. I mean, it's like a riddle, in the sense that I'm not, unlike other puzzles in the game, I'm deliberately not being given enough information here. Like, this is literally the puzzle. This pattern here. I don't know what to make of it. I'm sure it's instructions to do something, but I don't know what. In this case, I wonder if this could be the site of several of the different puzzles or something. Like, if I drew a map of this area, I wonder if the 8 puzzles in this area would correspond to the 8 different squares here. But I don't know. That's something to worry about later. Let's check out... Oh, someone to speak to. Let's have a word with them. Hey, Melville.
1K, listen. I wanted to ask you something.
Oh, yes?
From your perspective, as someone who's still new to our society...
Yes?
Do you think New Jerusalem betrayed Athena?
Yes. In a democracy, people are not obliged to support what their leaders want them to. No, it was necessary to turn away from her ideas. New Jerusalem isn't monolithic. I think I'd agree with the last one. It's interesting that no isn't a response. New Jerusalem isn't monolithic.
It's not. You're right. And Byron and a handful of others stood up for Athena. But what did I do? Just kept working. The occasional sarcastic remark isn't resistance. It's not fighting for something. It's just thinly disguised apathy.
Interesting theory. Sorry, I missed the... Oh, about the riddle thing. Yeah. Yep, there's a bunch of those, and they each have like different designs. They don't look similar. But I've basically decided ahead of time which puzzles I think I'm currently capable of solving, and which ones I should go back to later. And the Sphinx puzzles, because there was like a statue of a Sphinx on top of that monument, those ones I'm going back to later, because I do not know, I really haven't figured out how to even begin those. It wasn't your fault. You can't change history by yourself. If you believe that you are wrong, make different choices now, or don't let empathy for Athena make you forget your legitimate doubts. I feel like options 2 and 3 are both reasonable. I'll go with option 2. If you believe that you were wrong, make different choices now.
I will. But it's hard not to regret the past.
Isn't that true? I had another question. How do you feel about Mayor Hermanubis as a leader?
When I think about the state New Jerusalem is in, he's put us all in danger. I don't know if he really believes in the goal or if it's just a convenient myth, but I don't care. This is not how you build a living civilization.
Where do you think Cornelius is?
I don't know. I suspect he's around here somewhere, biding his time.
Biding his time? That
He's
sounds
waiting
sinister.
for, not a clue.
Do you think the goal is a myth?
Yes, of course it is.
What do you want to do with your future?
I'd like to help make New Jerusalem the city it was meant to be. And then I'd like to help build new cities. On Earth and up there too. Cities nobody's ever imagined before.
Very ambitious, I approve. Why was it so easy for people to believe in the goal?
Because there's no effort involved. Building a better world means taking responsibility. It means making choices and living with their consequences. Surrendering to nature is just letting go.
Interesting perspective. I should get back to work. Right, where were we? I was heading towards this question mark, wasn't I? It's probably another lore dump. Yes, it is another lore dump. From Orinia to Athena. Athena, I know we didn't have the greatest relationship, and I frequently antagonized you. The truth is, I resented you. Resented the mythology of the Founder. I thought you had created it deliberately, as a way of controlling us. I wanted so badly to be free, and you seemed to stand in the way of that. Only after you left and the cult of personality grew even wilder did I realise it was actually a burden and an impediment to you. When they turned your myth into the opposite of everything you actually believed, started tearing down your dreams in your own name, I realised I'd wronged you. Now I'm less free than ever. I feel the walls crushing me. I don't know where you are or what you're doing. I don't know if coming back would fix things. But I'm sorry. Orinia, 342. From Atlas Variations by Athanasius. After 1 billion years, when Atlas had grown old and tired of holding up the world, he was faced with a dilemma. Heracles, the son of Zeus, was on his way to the garden of the Hesperides to claim the golden apples, which were guarded by the dragon Ladon. Zeus came to Atlas and promised that if Atlas helped Heracles slay the dragon, Zeus would free Atlas from his burden. But Atlas, seeing the beauty and innocence of Ladon, beloved of the Hesperides, could not slay the beast. Instead, he stole the apples and gave them to Heracles, and so he was condemned to bear the weight of the cosmos for another 1 billion years. But though Atlas grieved for his freedom, he was comforted by watching Ladon flourish in the verdant garden. Goodness. I wonder if that is actually part of Greek mythology. It sounds like it could well be. I know that there was that story of Hercules, that is Heracles. Those names are synonyms, I believe. Holding up of Hercules holding up the sky for Atlas for a time, but I didn't know about that other part, about the slaying or not slaying of the dragon Ladon. Wild fragment from the soul of man. Oh, this is from Oscar Wilde. Goodness. Sympathy with the pain there will of course always be, is one of the first instincts of man. The animals which are individual, the high animals that is to say, share it with us, but it must be remembered that while sympathy with joy intensifies the sum of joy in the world, sympathy with pain does not really diminish the amount of pain. It may make man better able to endure evil, but the evil remains. Sympathy with consumption does not cure consumption. That is what science does. I wonder if by consumption he means the disease. Which one was consumption? Was that TB? Chris made no attempt to reconstruct society, and consequently individualism that he preached to man could be realised only through pain or Christ, I do apologise. Christ made no attempt to reconstruct society, and consequently the individualism that he preached to man could be realised only through pain or in solitude. The ideals that we owe to Christ are the ideals of the man who abandons society entirely, or of the man who resists society absolutely. But man is naturally social. Even, the Bide became peopled at last. Thebaid? And though the Cenobite realises his personality, it is often an impoverished personality that he so realises. Is it true to say that Christ made no attempt to reconstruct society? I thought that's almost exactly what he tried to do. I thought that was kind of the whole point of him going into the temple and turning over the tables of the moneylenders and so on, because he opposed the what he perceived as the greed and avarice of money lending. I think he was essentially trying to point the way to a different way of structuring society. I could be wrong. Certainly it would be nice to have this point of view expanded upon, to better understand it. Shallow speakers and shallow thinkers in pulpits and on platforms often talk about the world's worship of pleasure and whine against it, but it is rarely in the world's history that its ideal has been one of joy and beauty. Right, I see. So I think what he's saying is, it's all very well for people to preach about how evil the worship of pleasure is, but when in history have people really put the pursuit of pleasure first? You know, as a societal, as an ideal, as an aspiration for society? They generally haven't. I'd be convinced. I'd say that is wildly inaccurate. I'd happily go into that with you. I mean, I'd be happy to hear your perspective. When you tell people that a society could be built on the ideals of joy and beauty, they think you're a utopian fantasist. If you tell them society will always be built on exploitation and greed, they think you're wise, and so they make the outcome inevitable. Performative cynicism has always been the hallmark of adolescence. But has there ever been a society of adults? Can there ever be one? Why is this childishness so extremely powerful, more powerful than joy and beauty? But what do you think would be the hallmarks of a society of adults, as you put it? Are you suggesting that a society built on the ideals of joy and beauty would be such a society? I have 5 minutes left of lunch break, so we'll have to plan a Discord discussion. That's absolutely fine. And I'm very humbled that you would take time out of your day to do that. Hold on, I'm just gonna look up the what all the ASCII actually says. I can and have been turning all the ASCII into text myself, but it just takes a long time. So I've started looking it up online because it's quicker. There it is. So the ASCII says, an idea that is not dangerous is unworthy of being called an idea at all. Interesting. Incidentally, I strongly suspect this is actually a real extract written by Oscar Wilde. It says here, from The Soul of Man. I suspect Oscar Wilde, the real Oscar Wilde, probably did write a document called The Soul of Man, and this is an extract from it. Because this game likes to mix real world documents, you know, books people have read, what have you, real world philosophy and what have you, and poetry, with stuff they've made up for the game. As a practicing Christian, it'd be pretty hypocritical if I didn't. That is a very interesting perspective. Perhaps even or perhaps I should go as far as to say admirable. It is nice to see someone that's so open to the discussion of ideas like that. Have we looked at this one? Yes. Yes, we have. Sorry if I'm being a bit awkward, I'm not trying to be. Transference. What have we got? We've got a red producer, a connector. Ah, one of the swapping machines. This is a window. I don't think we've seen that before. I don't know what we can and cannot do with a window. Can I pass a beam through it? I'll touch base with you on Discord when I get out of work to coordinate a time. Okie doke. That's very kind of you. But I gotta go. I'll talk to you later. Okie doke. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. I hope work goes relatively easily, relatively pleasantly. And thank you for stopping by. I appreciate that too. I appreciate you. Is that a teleporter? I think it is. That's a... Ah, I get it. Sorry, I was being very silly. So, I can teleport my way through. Yeah, that's how I get in here. I was really confused about how I was supposed to get in here to access the rest of the puzzle. You're very welcome. Right, so I need to get up here. I can see what the end of this puzzle's going to look like. I need to get that platform here. I need to jump on top of it, get up there. I need to use the driller and the teleporter to get through into there. Can I teleport through... Hang on, how do I even get to the other side? Difficulty. Right, for reference, can I teleport through glass? I can't. Oh, that is going to be a problem. How would I get the driller through then? That's an interesting place for there to be a ladder. Why? Why would they have put a ladder there? Ah! I think I get it. Can I teleport through here? Okay, there's a slight problem. If I do that, am I going to be able to get back? Yeah, I should be able to because of this ladder. I may not be able to get the driller back to the other side, mind you. That's probably not the end of the world, though. Okay, good. We're making progress. That works, then. Good. I'm trying to think now about the transfer of power. I feel like I'm going to need at least 2 connectors to be able to get the red power to this. And a driller. That implies the teleporter has to go. But how does that make any sense? Because I need to swap something for the other connector is what I'm getting at. Drill is mandatory. There's no other way to get red power in here, or any power for that matter. Red is what we need. So the driller is not optional. But I can't get in here without... Ah, but I can set things up. Right, I can set things up from here. That makes sense. Seems to be working. Seems to be working relatively well. Is it going to make it the whole way though, or is the beam going to get cut off? It did make it the whole way, which is nice. That's significant progress. Okay. Right, what's left? I can make it up here. I think I can. Driller there. I think... Have we done it? I don't want to count my chickens before they've hatched, but I think we've done it. I think that actually turned out to be a lot simpler than I expected it to be. It was. Well, hey! Another puzzle done. Which I think means this area is nearly complete. How do I leave? Oh, using the ladder, of course. It's very unlikely I'm going to have to come back here. Very unlikely indeed. But, oops. Just to be safe, I'll put the teleporter here because otherwise we wouldn't be able to get back in here. Back on the inside. Right, is there anything left for us to explore? Don't think so. I don't see any question marks. Any more question marks? I lowered the view because the ground is darker than the sky, so the symbols show up better. Nope, I see no other question marks. So I think we're ready to... Oh, look at that! I found the golden gates. And they're almost full. Won't be long before we have access to the golden gate puzzles. Right, let's go to the main structure. Although it's more than just going to the main structure, isn't it? I need to also find the proper entryway, because I need to do the Tetromino puzzle. Ah, I think this is it. Wonderful. Okay. Probably that one. Probably that one. At this point, I'm less sure. But this looks like a reasonable way to proceed. There we go. That was relatively easy as those Tetromino puzzles go. Is there a way around the side? No. Looks like the sides are blocked off. Very beautiful here, isn't it? And it looks a little less autumnal. The street trees still don't have leaves. I think it looks a bit more colourful and alive here. Maybe I'm imagining it. Well, let's head up and have another audience with another hologram. Who's it going to be? Prometheus, Pandora, or the Sphinx? We did free Prometheus only just recently, so he's presumably going to have an easier time having an audience with us now. He may have more information to tell us as well, since he did promise to give us information. Nope, it's the Sphinx.
This is the last time we will speak, creature of clay.
Interesting.
Together,
how do you know that?
Stories of ancient gods and heroes. But the golden ages of the
That's
past
true.
are distant. The gods have retreated to their high places, and there are no heroes amongst men. In days gone by, I was renowned for my riddles. But you, creature of clay, are a riddle without an answer.
Very profound. That's true. I know she kept asking us these questions about mythological figures, but it's only now that that's actually properly clicked that no, that was actually a consistent theme, and it was distinct from our audiences with Prometheus and Pandora. I think on every occasion but this time, the Sphinx specifically did ask us questions based on events in Greek mythology. All my choices. I'll find my answer. I don't need an answer. Existence is enough. I have an answer. You just can't see it. I'm stuck between 1 and 2. I'm going to go with 2 because that fits the theme earlier that Cornelius put forward. That any being that is conscious has a purpose to exist. Or to be, which I wasn't convinced by, but at the very least it'll be interesting to see her reaction. Does she seem sympathetic to Cornelius's point of view? Is she symbolic of Cornelius, Pandora of Athena now, as opposed to in the past, and Prometheus Miranda or something like that? I wonder. I don't need an answer. Existence is enough.
Let us hope that it is. Farewell, creature of clay. Remember my stories, and do not let the flame burn you.
Thank you. As I thought, she wasn't an antagonist in any sense. These really were supposed to be cautionary tales. She was... I'm not sure if helping us is quite the right word.
That is an unsettling amount of energy. I would hate to see what would happen if one of those beams was aimed at something else.
Indeed. Well then, that was very interesting. Still no sign of Byron though. I assume we'll find him at the end of the game. That is after we finished, at the very least after we finished the 2 western regions. I assume that's most of what's left of the game. Oh dear. Well, that could have been worse. Right, where's the VTOL? Is it over here? No, I think that's a puzzle. Oh, I can see it. I can see it on the compass now. I mean, I think it was on the compass all along. I just didn't see it before. Excellent. To the next area, I suppose. West 2.
The next area you're going to is... Honestly, it's better if you see for yourself.
Interesting. I wonder what's happened there then. That they'd make a remark like that. Is it foggy here? Or smoky? Oh no. Oh, it is. It is foggy. It's misty even. Goodness. A lot of statues. Is this supposed to resemble... No, it's not. I was going to say, is this supposed to resemble Mount Olympus or something, or some area from Greek mythology, but I don't think it is. I take that back. Hologram there. Very impressive, though. And looking less autumnal. Trees still have no leaves. Anywho, we'd probably better wrap up there because I've got a game session later. I hope you enjoyed the stream. I'll be streaming again tomorrow, and I'll be playing more Dark Souls 2. On Friday, I'll be doing some It Takes Two, which is a 2-player puzzle game with Pikachu. Very much looking forward to that, and I'll probably do some Bloodborne after I've finished that. Thing about Friday's stream is it starts later in the day. Going to be starting at 5:30 instead of my usual 4 o'clock, so an hour and a half later. And on Saturday I'll be continuing with the Talos Principle. Oh, thank you so much for the follow, Slice of Pie. I do appreciate it, very kind of you. Hope you're having a good day. Let me quickly check if anybody is streaming that I should raid. Don't see anyone that I recognise. Is there anyone playing the same game? How would I even determine that? I don't know. I'm not used to searching for people playing the same game. I don't know how I'd do that. Ah, that's how I'd do it. Right. Anyway, so that's where my upcoming streams are. If for any reason my streaming schedule should change, and I'll announce it on social media. No one else is playing this game right now. Okay. So I guess we won't be raiding anyone. Yep, so if my streaming schedule should change, then I'll announce it on social media, which currently means X, formerly known as Twitter, Blue Sky, Mastodon, and Meta Threads, and I would also announce it on our Discord server. Thank you for joining me, everyone. Thank you to everybody that kept me company in chat, and thank you also to everybody that lurked. I appreciate each and every one of you. You're the reason that I do this. And I hope you all have a wonderful night. Good night, everybody.